Hello. Welcome to Tex-Trek Live. But this will be the last week that Rachel and I will be subbing
Taking
for
over?
Steven.
Like,
Yeah, taking over. Steven will be back.
mhm.
In the meantime, we're going to talk about Star Trek food tonight. In fact, I'm in a different location. I might be a little
Uh,
echoey too because I'm in the
you're
kitchen.
not allowed to see my kitchen because it's a disaster right now. In
That's
my
okay.
defense, and Steven has been, if Steven's still in the comments, has been to my house, so he could say there is no counter space in my kitchen, so there was a lot of just like
That
stacking
sucks.
stuff on top of each other to like be able to cook two things at the same time.
This is the first time that I've had a kitchen that I could actually record something in and feel comfortable. Like, okay, it's presentable, and also
Yeah,
there's a counter that makes it easier to do it. And
I
although where I'm sitting on this bar stool, I have no leg room, so I'm just sort of like up against the
oh
dishwasher. So it's like that's fun.
that that's not great. I also like I
Yeah.
would love for like I don't have an island or anything like that. The house I live in was built in the 80s. The kitchen has never been renovated. And it was
Oh,
made
okay.
cheaply.
Surfly Sohel said, "Oh, I could do this. Very strange new world." So we're
Yeah.
bringing food into the show. Yes.
Um
So actually tonight, oh, real quick,
and I was
tonight
just
we're
eventually if you
yeah.
hear a little song and see me disappear, it's cuz something is still in the oven.
We decided we were going to cook a recipe from the 1999 Star Trek cookbook with Neelix on the cover. Let me bring that up, and
Um,
it's unique for the fact that it's a cookbook that has virtually no um, pictures.
yeah.
It's like,
There's absolutely no visual aids to show you what you should be cooking.
that's just not great.
Yeah,
So
it's
there we go.
not I have one
So
of the things I cooked already. Which is like a bruschetta where you're supposed to have like the bread on the side. And like I definitely made something edible. I'm not positive I made what I was supposed to be making. So here are the tomatoes and here's the bread. Um,
okay.
let me look at my phone so I could show
So
you
what was
tell
where was it? What was the name of it? It was this
um
is
it was Renee. It was like under Odo. Let me look at the
okay.
because it was Renee. It was supposed to be Renee
Oh, that's
Auberjonois
right.
recipe.
Which is funny because that is literally that in a salad is what he ordered the one time that I had dinner with him. Bruschetta.
Really,
He must really like it, I
he must
guess.
really like bruschetta. Okay, I like
Yeah, I was
that.
like, I just remembered that. I'm like, oh wait, hey. Um,
Um, Renee
navigating
Auberjonois.
in PDFs. That's something I
Yeah,
don't do often.
Odo baked. Odo's
Oh
baked
no.
tomato bruschetta,
There it is.
and the
It
reason
does have
I
anchor links, which is nice. This is cool. I
that is
do
nice.
own this book. It's in my storage unit, so I'm not. It wasn't like this was downloaded from the internet, but
I
I
will
did purchase the
say
book.
I feel less bad about doing this for a book that's out of print.
Yes,
That
but I do own it. I figured
yeah,
that at least
I'll be
helpful.
honest, I don't, but I'm borrowing it from you.
There you go.
Who does own it?
Yeah, I'm sure that sort of logic is exactly what archive.org is doing right now. I don't think they're winning. Actually, did they lose? Was that
I don't
as a
know.
case? Okay. They basically archive.org, if you don't know, you can go and check out books. You get like for an hour at a time and then you check it
Mhm.
back. So it's not like everybody can check out the book at the same time. So it's not like they're giving it to a million people. But they're basically saying, "No, you don't have the right to do that. You're not a library. It's not a physical copy." And so
Yeah.
they might lose that, which really sucks because it's a really, really good resource. There are books there
Mhm.
like I'll never be able to find this in real life,
Oh yeah, I
or I
mean
have to get it off of eBay or something.
for instance, Stitch in Time. That's the name of I have it on my Kindle. I have never been able to get a physical copy of that book though because that book sells for over $100, like around
Oh
$100,
yeah.
which
I have a book over in the corner that's like that.
I can't justify buying a paperback book. That is my um like white elephant for half price books. Is that I always go look at the Star Trek section and look for that.
I got one for the 1939. Oh, well, it's about the 1939 New York World's Fair. That was my white elephant. It was originally $50, I think, in
Mhm.
1989 money.
Oh
And
god.
I have seen it like, 200, 500. I'm
Mhm.
like, somebody sold it on eBay. They did not know what it was worth, I think. I got it for $30 plus $10 shipping and handling, so it was slightly less than the original price. I am so happy to own this book.
That's cool.
It's
Okay,
just a beautiful, big picture book kind of thing.
so this is the reason I think I might have not made these tomatoes, which look like tomatoes, right? Because the description for them after cooking them, it says bake the tomatoes on the upper
Let's see if we
oven
can
shelf
zoom
for
this in
15
a
to
little
20
bit.
minutes until they are completely roasted, almost unrecognizable as tomatoes, and have the consistency of jam. I made tomatoes, but I didn't make that. I could not tell you how long I cooked them for because I put them for that and then I would check and be like, nowhere close. So I just kept adding time until I didn't have a choice. That's why that thing is still cooking, because I kept adding time to this.
That's hilarious. Well, I ended up making. I was going to do Alexander Siddig's kind of his college cheap dinner type of thing made with Spam, because I have a can of Spam that I don't know what to do with. It was something that Davey bought for some Hawaiian thing we were doing. So I was like going to make that, but I realized I don't even know if I want to eat it once, let alone like clearly it's made for a group of people. It's like a big, everybody. It's make this in your dorm and then sit around and watch Deep Space Nine, basically. So it's like, yeah. So I decided to make.
Looked at that too, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I am scared I won't. I actually like Spam, so I might not dislike it.
I don't mind Spam.
Especially because I moved around a lot, but I've lived in multiple like island places where Spam is very popular,
That makes
and
sense.
so
Yep.
I lived in places where they like prepared it well, so I ended up enjoying it. But
Spam
yeah,
sushi
especially
is actually decent. It tastes pretty good. It's weird. But
that that makes sense because I think you can't have raw fish, right?
Yes, correct.
No, that's
so
great.
We tried different things.
Yeah.
But that was something I actually tried before I had my transplant.
I guess I haven't tried how this tastes yet. I guess I should do that.
Okay, you want to do that, and I'll pull up my recipe.
Actually,
do you need to go get?
Eventually, I haven't heard my oven go off, so I don't think it's. I'll try one. Right. How about you pull up yours, and I'll start trying this.
Okay.
And then I don't know how, because this is supposed to be jam-like, so I don't know how well this will go on the piece of bread in its current state. But I just couldn't wait any longer. And I did adapt both recipes. Like I have them because it's a lot of food, and I also, as I'm sure, I planned on making one of these yesterday and one of them today, and I did curbside pickup, and H-E-B forgot half my order, so I couldn't make either of them.
I ordered something that was basically yes, it's on its way. It ran out. Like, okay, thanks. That's great.
Yeah. Curbside pickup also, H-E-B was just also out of matcha for like all of Passover, and I had to go steal a box from my mom. Actually, a box she had taken from my house, so that's why I didn't think I needed to get matcha, because I thought I had some. Oh, do you hear that?
Oh, yes, I hear it.
Yeah, that's my little. Actually, I'll be right back, because that is my little cue to go get the other thing out of the oven.
Okay, I'll talk about this.
Okay.
And also mention that we asked the audience what kind of Star Trek food they would like to try, and so we have some responses from you out there as well. But the dish that I decided to make is Jerry Ryan's 7 of 9 steamed Shadra Cobb. Like she said, this is my personal version of a dish I invented for 7. It's simple. You will assimilate it. 1 butternut acorn squash, steamed and smashed. Do not add salt. Do not add pepper. These will be too pungent. Pile squash onto a plate as efficiently as possible. I did cheat a little because I decided like with no salt or anything, that would not be great. And I didn't have a really good way to steam it, so I did it in the oven. So let's see if I can get that up here. I'm down a deficit of let me stop my screen, of having only one screen where I normally have many screens. So this is actually, it's a really good fall dish for the fact that it's going to be like 85 degrees tomorrow. So, but very tasty. And I just watched the scene recently with her trying food for the first time, and it was really great watching Neelix try to explain to her how to eat. I never thought of like having to do that for somebody. Basically chewing, and she's like, she chewed it, and he's like, swallow. And she's like, I don't know what that means, basically. So, basically, he did make the kind of noise or whatever, and then she figured it out. But that was really cool. I actually like that scene a lot, and that's what she was eating. So, Shadra Cobb apparently is the Terran equivalent is butternut squash. which is actually pretty good. I've made butternut squash pizza before, which is I did a variant on the Riker pizza. But that book that we were showing with that, we also have, and this one's I don't have scanned. It's the Star Trek official Star Trek cooking manual. This is from the 70s, and it has the recipe for plomeek soup. There's also Klingon dishes like Klingon salad. I don't, the Klingon culture hadn't quite got to where it is today. So I think it's pretty kind of funny that we've got, let's see, there's a main dish served at an initiation feast for the Imperial Guard that goes back to the days when food was cooked on earthen pots or hide pouches. So it's basically, what is this? It's a pork dish. Oh, it's sauerkraut and pork. So it's a Hungarian sort of mashup dish. This is interesting. But yeah, we got the salad, I think, which is pretty funny. Yeah, it should be. It is rather similar to our coleslaw. This should be enough for 4 people. I just can't see Klingons sitting down to eat salad. I don't know. So let's see. I wonder if Rachel is coming back. I don't know how much longer I could vamp. No. Actually, why don't I bring up some of the responses that we got from the audience? So we asked, what kind of Star Trek food would you actually want to try in real life? And let's see, here's the list. There we go. And the other thing we're going to talk about when we finish the food part or the intro is we're going to go decade by show chronologically, starting at Enterprise, and kind of what food was like in each of those episodes and what importance played and how it was done. We don't really have any behind the scenes stuff, which would be really cool, but that maybe for another show. Yeah. So Kelly from at Antipodal on Twitter said plomeek soup, just to find out what the heck it is. Best wishes. So
same, because I love soup. Hi, I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, like I said, one screen, so like my notes are now on top of us. So I will actually, when we have a break or when you're doing something, I will look up plomeek soup, which is actually in this recipe.
Oh, nice.
It might actually be in the other one as well, but I'm not sure. I was just talking about Klingon salad and how obviously the culture hadn't been really built out that far in 1970, whatever. And I'm reading things that people I asked online. What would you like to try?
Have you tried the thing you made out of curiosity?
Oh no, I have not. But
okay.
I did show it.
I'm gonna try the bruschetta. I feel like I should let this is the other thing I made, which are stuffed shells. I think it was supposed to be Keiko's recipe.
That was a shell.
It is a shell. I just like mermaids. So
like, wow, that's huge.
I have. They are pretty big. They literally just came out of the oven though, so I feel like I should probably let them cool for a second.
It'd be probably a good idea. Yeah, please don't burn yourself on screen. Save that for off screen.
I also totally left my phone in my kitchen, so that'll be interesting later. Okay, try a little bit of the bruschetta.
I used this is a
slightly smaller shell.
Bet proof. Joel says Bet Worf would like prune pudding, which is interesting. How is it?
It's actually really good.
That's good. Bruschetta is, I mean, you can burn it, I guess. It's kind of hard to totally like pizza in some ways.
I think it probably would have been easier if I made it more like traditional bruschetta, where you like put the tomato on there ahead of time. But I was trying to do what the recipe said.
Yeah. I cheated because I actually did put salt, because I like just butternut squash with nothing on it is kind of. It's edible. It's just why would you want that?
I might have put a little too much garlic in it. That's on me. I put more garlic than the rest. I
love garlic.
Didn't I couldn't find my pepper, and it was salt and pepper to taste, and I have this it's actually a steak seasoning, but I kind of throw a little bit of it on everything, but the main ingredients are salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. So there was already garlic in there, so I might have gone a little too far with that, but
Jill just said I ordered a copy for $10.99 or $10.09 of the Ethan Phillips softcover cookbook in very good condition. Cool.
That's nice.
I would like to say that you'll see beautiful photos in there. But there are no photo. Well, there are randomly like cast photos and
Mm-hmm.
some, but there's the food itself would be really helpful. But I have a feeling that was a budgetary issue, because it's a lot cheaper to not do
I
a photo
also
shoot for all of these dishes.
it would have been really helpful if the instructions were in bullet points and not a paragraph.
Yeah. Well, also that might be the digital copy of it. I
Mm.
don't know if it actually, like it was just this stripped of
Yeah.
its formatting.
Well,
But
I
I have seen once older cookbooks. It seems like before, that big, huge home renovation food craze in like
yeah.
the early 2000s, it was kind of hit or miss with cookbooks. And if
I
they were readable
the,
now it seems like there's very much a format.
the reason I would guess that is not the case is the ingredients are still bullet listed,
Oh, that's weird.
but the instructions were not. The instructions just seem to
Actually,
be a paragraph
I'm gonna grab
describing
some.
them. Okay. I'm sorry, you can't eat garlic? I would be so sad.
What? Oh no. Life isn't just. Oh, that's horrible. That's sad.
Oh, no, I
It's like.
know what it was. I think I put more than a sprinkle of red pepper, so it was a little spicier than I expected
Oh,
it to
okay.
be.
Oh, is that the
Which
the pepper that you didn't know what to do with because it didn't really say what to do with it?
it left out. It just said crushed pepper at the end instead of red pepper, but the recipe also called for salt and pepper, so I got very confused.
Yeah, it was not. There's a couple of those. Also, mine has the Alexander Siddig bolognese thing
Yeah.
had something taste to reason. I think you mean season.
My guess
or yeah,
is that they asked the actors to just email them something real quick and didn't like check it
probably.
at all. And these were
Another
just
book
actors
that is
doing this annoying, like probably annoyed. Voyager's on the air at this point, and they have like things from
yeah.
TNG actors, so they're probably just like, leave me alone. Like, they're probably just
Our
been
show's
like,
over.
yeah.
And I'm guessing that like some of the stuff that for the Voyager, it was probably just they went and asked them on the set, and they're like,
Yeah.
it's like,
Oh, you know what? I bet TNG. I bet they were asking them to set up movies.
Oh, that could be.
Because specifically, Jonathan Frank's recipe he said he got from Alfie Woodard.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like a barbecue recipe, and he specifically says that
It's
he
in the
stole
book
it from
in
her.
this one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
That's awesome.
maybe he had just like just been talking. If they're on the set of First Contact, maybe he'd just been talking to her.
That's cool. Related to Star Trek and Riker, this is Todd Stashwick's book. It's his D&D tiki cocktail book. So it's like all these three things mashed together. And it's him and Brandon Clay, Kleyla. We both follow each other on Twitter. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's horrible. I hate when like somebody like I don't know their name. I know their Twitter handle more than their actual name. Like,
this is like I have that problem on TikTok, and there was someone I know that for some reason, even though they go by their middle name, they have like their first name on TikTok, and I now have befriended them outside of like in the real life, and I'd be like, "What do you go by?" Like,
yeah, I had somebody come up and was like, "Geek filter." I'm like I know that term. Like, what is this? That was like early on when the internet was.
I don't mind. People have sometimes call me drama dork. Sometimes people just say drama, and I was like, "No, that's weird." Let's do the whole thing.
Or not at all.
Or
use my name.
Rachel. That is also in this.
Hey, crazy ex-girlfriend. No.
A coworker actually today asked me if I'd ever seen Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
What? Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
But I haven't.
Also, like your name is Rachel Bloom. Like,
of
why?
course I have.
Even if you haven't seen it, you know what it is for sure.
Well, to be fair, the coworker, she's like, you probably have, but also I feel like you would really like it. And I was like, I do really like it. It is very. I grabbed this. This is just a different high-end cookbook, but I just wanted to point out how way better formatted this is. And look, pictures. And I will say not everything has a picture in this one, but most of the stuff it's like chicken tenders
This has
or like
drawings, but I think this works
lamb.
too. But as a cocktail, it doesn't necessarily have to
For
be like,
cocktails, that works.
yeah. And what's really
For
cool about this is there's a big section of non-alcoholic in there too, which is
that,
really,
I really like that.
yeah.
One,
Especially
because
because I mean, there's people who play D&D that like don't drink, although that's
there's
sort of the
definitely,
stereotype, but
and
it's.
well, one, I like cocktails. I do drink, but like I can be a bit of a lightweight. And also, my main problem with a lot of cocktails in general now is I don't love a cocktail that mixes more than one type of alcohol a lot of the time because it kind of makes me
Mm,
tired. So I tend to, if I'm out and like out, we'll stick to something like a whiskey sour just because
mm,
also they just tend to be more expensive too because they have different types of
yeah,
alcohol.
yeah, for sure. I like. I
So
normally get a
first,
whiskey drink, but there's also absinthe. But there's the
mhm,
Sazerac, which is like
yeah.
kind of like liquid licorice. Just like it's very good, and it's very strong sometimes.
Mhm.
In the back of this book, they also have D&D maps, which is kind of cool. So you can actually play with this book while you drink.
Oh, nice. I like that too.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
I thought that was pretty cool. And he's such a dork in real life, a geek, nerd, whatever you wanted to say in real life. He's got
I have
Millennium
dork in
Falcon
my name
tattoo,
right
and
there, so like I can't.
yeah.
Um,
I grew up in the '80s where like geek was the least offensive, or like nerd was like you did not want to be a nerd, and
mhm,
or a dork was just somebody who was just dumb. It didn't have anything to do with like if you
yeah.
were really into something or whatever. A nerd was overly,
I was
you know,
in theater as a
fixated. Or,
kid. That the alliteration was nice, and now I think I'm stuck with it. Like I think
eh.
it could be worse.
Jill says lactate milk is delish. I don't think I've ever had that. Yeah, giving up.
Well,
Jill had to give up dairy. That
lactate
would
is
be
the like
hard.
it's actual dairy, but they've taken the lactose out of it, right?
I think so.
That's
That sounds right.
because I've thought
I've
about
tried like fake like almond milk and stuff like that. I don't know what it is. Well, it's not milk. I mean, it's like a
yeah.
squished
I
nut,
had
but it's
almond
just
milk a lot in college because my roommate was both lactose intolerant and allergic to soy.
oh no,
And then like, okay,
that's
there was a
bad.
whole thing where there was like four roommates and we all wanted different types of milk. And I was like, can we just buy milk together? There's too much fucking milk in this fridge. Okay. I cannot drink whole milk. Like I can cook with whole milk, use whole milk to like put in stuff to like make like a coffee drink or something like that. I mean, I'm not much of a coffee drinker, but I can't just like drink whole milk. It's too thick for me. This one roommate refused to drink anything but whole milk. And I was like, I usually drink skim milk. So I was like, I can't do this and I would rather drink almond milk.
When we talk about TOS food, there's actually this is like the code that tells the computer what to make, which I thought was kind of clever.
That's really fun.
Just yeah, I mean it's not real, obviously. And,
I will say,
if you only needed that much for that dish, that would be kind of amazing.
um, what, so
Where is
there's no
this
pictures in that
stupid
one
Plomeek
either,
soup?
right?
No.
Although I'm a little more forgiving of that having no pictures than one from the 90s.
Yeah. Well, this is also like it's really like the formatting is just really easy to
Yeah, so
read
that's
too.
also much easier to like look
Yeah.
at. I
And I feel like some of this stuff is more towards the 70s when people still cooked a little bit more, maybe. Like we went through like a dip where like the end of the 70s and 80s, people just had microwave everything
yeah.
and then picked back up again. So
I
maybe
mean,
we didn't
I
need
didn't use the
pictures
microwave for
because
anything, but I definitely used some adjusted things to go faster with stuff. They couldn't know that I could make the shells in my Instapot when they made that book in the 90s. Like,
true.
that's not
Well, they
on
did have
them.
slow cookers, but
Yeah.
I thought this had Plomeek soup in
They
here and I don't
they
see it.
probably would have been like, that's weird. Why wouldn't you just make it on the stovetop?
Yeah,
My pressure
that's
cooker
true.
makes it a lot quicker. It's the water gets boiling a lot faster.
There's a DeForest Kelly recipe in here that was signed by him. This prescription is a sure cure for what ails you. DeForest Kelly. It's is his grits recipe. Salad surprise from Nichelle Nichols. No, I swore that I saw Plomeek soup in here. Maybe I'm imagining it.
Okay. I think
Cheese
maybe
soup.
These shells are huge. I'm okay.
Pie.
I think this is cooled down enough to try one of these.
Okay.
Okay. I think so. These said giant shells, and I realized I actually got jumbo shells, and I think that they're too big.
What's the difference between jumbo and giant, though? It's like,
Uh,
how is it?
It's good, but it's still warm. It is good. I like both the things I'm eating, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm randomly just eating this as we're talking. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, well, I would make that again just because I have made it before, but it's,
Yeah.
I think that it's cool that, the one thing that's nice in this book is that there's the recipe like from the actor, and then there's like an in-universe recipe that's more towards whatever that person would normally eat. And then there's stuff where they talk about the food and there's no recipe because I don't think you could ever make it.
Yeah. I was hoping they would at least try to be like, here's a Terran version of like
Right.
this.
Let's see.
Like
Jerry Ryan's wild mushroom soup. Oh, here's plomeek soup a la Neelix.
We'll be right back, mostly because I didn't grab a napkin when I got up before. So that was a mistake.
Let's see. What plomeek soup a la Neelix is, let's see. Vulcan recipe, spoon-fed to Mr. Spock himself by Nurse Chapel. I tried my hand at plomeek recipe for Tuvok once. He said it was too spicy. The next time I prepared it, I left out the Bothan fire beans. Okay, that would make it spicy probably. There are actually so many variations of plomeek soup that I'm thinking of writing a book entitled Plomeek Soup for the Vulcan Soul. For the original plomeek soup, you can get that nice orange hue and deep vegetable fragrance with a delightful variety of Korean squash called kabocha, which you can probably find at Asian grocery stores or thoroughly committed veggie markets. The texture and tastiness of the soup is provided by the white beans, green beans, and zucchini squash. So it's a vegetable soup of some kind. At least this version of it. I'm sure there's a million different recipes for plomeek soup out there. It seems like since it's been around since TOS, I'm sure many people have come up with a concept of what it is.
For what one?
Plomeek soup. I just read the description from it's Neelix plomeek soup, and he's like, there's so many different variations of plomeek soup. I'm thinking of writing a book entitled Plomeek Soup for the Vulcan Soul. Which would actually be really interesting.
Yeah.
There's a website
I also
called
like
the
the idea
Captain's
that
Table
maybe it's like this is Neelix's version because he's working with what he can find.
Yes, exactly. Jill said that there's a website called the Captain's Table that one of the former Sci-Fi sisters is maintaining. That's helping me find substitute flavors for garlic.
That's cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of... I watched this show on PBS when I was a little kid, and I can't remember the name. It's like Cooking with Kathy or something like that. She's from Hawaii, and so there was a lot of interesting spice substitutions. Asafoetida was something that she always mentioned, and I don't know what it tastes like, but I got a little sample of it from somebody as a joke, so I still have to try it. So how is it tasting? It's even though it's like out of scale, it's still...
I'm trying to see if I can like cut the tomatoes in half to like spread them out a little more.
We got Fatheree in here saying, hi, everyone. Just popping in to say hello. See you all in a week. He's at a concert tonight.
Yeah. Have fun. I don't know if you're still here, but have fun if you are.
Yeah. I guess he sent us a picture in our other chat. So
this is what I cooked. Yeah, it's just I like the bruschetta I made. I definitely don't think I made Renee Auberjois bruschetta. I'm trying to see.
You made a bruschetta. It's an homage to to Renee.
If only I could somehow I was like, I would love to see if anyone has a picture of it, like if he ever posted a picture of this.
Oh, that's a good point. I don't know. Yeah, it was. If I made the food, I was Alexander Siddigs. I was going to tweet it to him, but
does he have a Twitter? I mean, I think his fan club has a Twitter, but
oh, maybe he doesn't. You might be right. Yeah,
I will say the fan club does get stuff to him though, so like, it's like an official fan club, not.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, okay.
So the
Not somebody just hijacked a domain and
yeah.
put it up.
So they were the ones that he did when he did the Zooms during the pandemic. He did it like through that fan
Oh,
club.
okay. That's
Um,
cool.
and I did a couple of them. So he's one of the one Star Trek actors I have talked to because I did those Zooms.
That's cool.
So this one, the description is: this is Keiko's favorite dish is a version of stuffed shells with spinach,
Oh.
featuring ricotta cheese mixed with feta cheese, baked in a casserole, and topped with parsley and oregano. Then it says, I like it with lots of garlic and zipped up with a fresh ground black pepper. I guess I is Neelix in this?
I guess. Yeah, because actually a note that I have in our TNG food section is that Keiko was surprised that Miles, like, his mom made food from scratch. She's like, she actually cooked? So, like, why would
This
she
is
have a
true.
recipe if she didn't cook?
Maybe. And also, how does Neelix know these people?
Well, somebody, like, maybe they're in the
Yeah.
database or
I
somebody
guess
told
the
them
more confusing thing is how does Neelix know Rene Auberjonois?
That's perfect. Well, this is also written by Ethan Phillips.
Ethan
Phillips.
Oh, so it says
so
it's written by Ethan Phillips, not Neelix.
yes,
Okay.
it's
So
Ethan Phillips and some, but it's sort of written in. It's like a shifting tonal voice. That's
yeah.
part. Yeah,
It is hard. It is
that's part of the
confusing.
confusion. And then sometimes it's written by the person that it's supposed to be. Like 7 of 9's one, it's actually written from her viewpoint. It sounds like. So,
but like that one, it was not written by Rosamund Chow. It was like,
okay.
It just said this is Keiko's favorite dish. And
so it could have been anything.
I feel like I took a picture of the 2 recipes I was making so I could zoom in because the text was pretty small. Let me open the actual PDF because I feel like it was under Miles' section.
Okay, I can.
Or you could just bring it up from there.
Yeah.
And honestly, there were other things I wanted to try. I kind of chose the things that I thought I could make easily for this.
Yeah.
Like there was a reason
I wanted to do more. I just ran out of time.
There was a reason I chose like 2 finger foods as well. Like,
yeah. Video file. Nope. I wanted to share the screen. There we go. Okay.
And like there were a couple things I looked at that I went, nah, that doesn't sound that appetizing.
So you're looking for Miles, right?
I think so. I feel like Keiko was not a section. I feel like it was Miles. Which makes sense. Okay. Miles is the one who is a main character.
True. Oh, that's miles away. There we go. Chief Miles.
So yeah, there's a picture of Miles O'Brien.
So we got a picture of him.
Eating, at least.
Yeah, that's true. He's at a table with food.
Yeah. To be fair, we did see him.
Oh, there's this. Yeah. What is that? Is this the one where she's not her? She was taken over?
It could be. I don't know.
I don't know. It feels like it's really hard. She just looks very aggressive there, which I don't remember her being quite like that.
I felt, or is this? Okay, I'm gonna guess maybe because
anybody out in the audience know what scene
it's definitely Deep Space Nine. Wait, is it Deep Space Nine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The early Deep Space Nine because of the uniform, I think.
I feel like she was taken over later, right?
Was she? Okay.
She might have been taken over more than once.
poor Keiko.
Also
the way they wrote them occasionally was just like they're not a bickering 50s sitcom husband and wife. It's like they didn't treat them very well sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, O'Brien. There's a reason we say O'Brien.
Huh?
There's a reason they say O'Brien must suffer.
Yeah.
So I guess they're trying to say this is a family recipe. That one you're looking at.
Yeah, is this? Wait, you're looking for
the shells?
Oh,
maybe it was.
Maybe it is Keiko.
Maybe Keiko has her own section.
That would be good. I mean, she does.
I think the biggest section was Sisko's, which makes sense.
Her name it'll show up like regardless because that is her name. So,
that one I looked at too. Maybe Keiko did have a section.
Sabo. It's like Dabo, but. Plankton loaf again.
I
That's
am
apparently
losing
it.
my mind about. I made this. I don't understand.
It's not in here anywhere. What is it called?
I
Watch us search a PDF live on Friday night. Woo! What is the name of the?
Harold. It's okay. Q apostrophe. I also
Okay.
don't know why it's called. I also do not understand why it seems to be trying to say it's like a Klingon dish, like with that name.
Yeah.
Q
apostrophe.
apostrophe PAROL.
Oops. Q parole. Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, how come Keiko's that didn't show? Oh, because it's Keiko apostrophe S.
Keiko apostrophe S. Yeah.
Yeah. Keiko's favorite dish is a version of stuffed shells with spinach feature. Yeah, this is just talking about like who is saying this? Is this Neelix saying Keiko's
Neelix,
favorite
no
dish?
Keiko.
Like, how did that happen? Was this written after they got back from the Delta Quadrant? Oh wait, Neelix
wasn't with them.
Yeah,
unless they've discovered a way to video call Neelix and be like, "Hey, if you want to write this cookbook, we're going to introduce you to a bunch of random people."
Through Prodigy, I feel like maybe that's possible because they had
think that is possible now.
Yeah. I don't know.
It always actually the idea that they
possibly
never,
far
even though Neelix
distances
is not my favorite.
Shorter.
Even though Neelix is not my favorite character, it always makes me sad the idea that they just disappeared. Neelix probably never knew what happened to them until they could
get back and tell them.
I've made Star Trek sad. Hello. Also, can you scroll up? What section is this under? So I think it's under the Keiko section.
Oh. Wait, this is so is Miles O'Brien from the Enterprise and then Chief Miles O'Brien from Deep Space Nine?
What? Why does he have two sections?
It's a different picture. What? How did I never notice that before? Is this the one that's like 5 seconds ahead in time? Or
yes. No, this is the one there was a clone of.
Oh yeah. That's from Deep Space Nine. Yeah. This is
that
him
picture's
again.
also from Deep Space Nine.
And that's weird. Yeah, because does that mean the other one actually was from TNG then?
I have no idea. It didn't look like a TNG uniform, but maybe they just didn't have as many. They probably just didn't have pictures from him from TNG because he wasn't lead.
Yeah. Well, they could have taken screenshots from the episode where he got married, Data's Day, which we actually just watched the other day. And speaking of patrons, look, if you're a patron of Tex-Trek, you get to choose a watch along when it's your birthday month, depending on what tier you're choosing. And I'm not only a kind of host sometimes, I'm also a patron. So my birthday is coming up May 19th, which is next Friday. And so on the 20th, we're going to be watching a two-parter Voyager episode, Future Tense. Is that what it's called? That's not right. Is it?
I don't know.
Crap.
I cannot think of it right now.
It's the time travel to 1996 Los Angeles episode, and I always get that wrong.
I just realized I won't be able to be there, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to a wedding." I feel like my cousin's wedding is probably more important, but
yeah, probably. I mean, if you haven't seen this episode, though, it's let's see. What is?
I have seen
Future's End, not Future Tense. It's Future's End.
I have seen it. I just wanted to watch it with you.
Part 1. Thanks. It's kind of cool because there are things I'm going to point out of 1996 Los Angeles that have changed since then, but also the guy who played the bad guy, who is actually in real life a very good guy. What's his name? He's an environmental activist, and he plays.
Oh, the one who was stealing all the technology.
Yeah,
I love the implication of that episode that the .com boom was because of this dude being awful,
or there's computers in general. Yeah, exactly. And that building is there's some fun things in there. But he actually did a environmental message for we were doing like, I think it was not an Arbor Day, but it was like an Earth Day or something at our theater that we had, and he couldn't make it in person, so he recorded a message, but he recorded it as like if he was an oil baron or something. It was just like, it was all complete, like, you're getting too much into playing this bad guy character. That was
That's
also the same year that I saw Sarah Silverman at a stand-up. She was known, but not like that well known. And I was in the audience, and I started having some weird heart issues, and I wasn't sure what was happening. But that was before my transplant, and everything was a lot scarier just because I didn't know what was going on. So I told my friends, like, I need to go to the emergency room. I hate to do this. I'm sorry. And he's like, okay, well, he got me up, and she started heckling us as we left. Oh, you're going to leave before it's over. It's like, oh, not good enough for you. I'm like, okay, I don't have the energy to like yell back at you right now. So that was fun. So I was heckled by Sarah Silverman for going to the emergency room. And it turns out that it was indigestion.
Met. Great. That's perfect. Yeah. I mean, at that point, you want to be careful.
Yes. It was one of those like, hi, you're 35 now. You can't eat like you're 20. Like, oh. It was like, you had fried with fried. Like, don't do that.
I will say,
also, you have a heart condition. What are you doing?
Fairly healthy, what I made. I mean, there's a lot of cheese in the other one, but
there is actually pretty good recipes in here that are fairly healthy, and then some of them are obviously not. But I wanted to make the desserts. That's actually one of the. Let me close this out here.
Oh my god! How many? What is that? Why are there so many like ingredients?
Oh, whoops! That is. Oh, I closed it out. Shoot, sorry.
No, you're good. It was one of the Quark ones. I can look it up later.
That's very strange that it's like it was still on screen, but it was literally closed off on my PDF. So, some of the questions when we asked like, what would you like to try? We had where is it? Oh, Jumja sticks.
Oh, yeah. That would be good.
I looked it up. They're extremely sweet Bajoran confection made from the sap of the Jumja tree. It has a lot of vitamin C, and it's super sweet, which is why Kira hated it, and it's why Dax loved it, I think, because it was like the sweetness. It looks like a bomb pop, kind of.
Out of curiosity, I want to know what Deanna's sundaes that are not good enough. What does that taste like? What does a chocolate sundae that is somehow healthy taste like?
Maybe it's like keto ice cream or something.
Maybe it's like there's this quote from The Good Place about.
But it feels like it should be. If you could do it on a molecular level, you should just be able to make it taste exactly the same and just be better for you.
It reminds me of this quote from The Good Place about, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly, about they're talking about frozen yogurt, and someone says, I'm not going to go super into The Good Place, but part of the joke is there's a ton of frozen yogurt places around. And someone asked Michael, I was like, have you guys not heard of ice cream? And he said, but there's something so human about frozen yogurt. Something so human about making something a little bit worse so you can have more of it.
Yes, that was everything. It had the frozen yogurt signs, or like it was all these different frozen yogurt stores. They had really good parody names. I can't remember any of them now, but they were really
funny. There's a behind the scenes podcast for The Good Place, and most of those puns were made by a writer named Megan Amram, and they have like tons of examples.
I should go listen to that.
It's great. And I won't talk more about the Good Place, but you should watch it. It's one of my top 5 TV shows of all time. And also, the more I talk about it, the worse, because like there's stuff that can be spoiled in this sitcom.
Yes.
Very much so.
It's funny because and I don't know if this led to our breakup or part of it, but I figured out what one of the spoilers for the show on the first episode, and I got yelled at when it was revealed to be correct. It's like, you ruined it. I'm like, how did I ruin it? I guessed it. I'm like that's not ruining it. It's just
that's not ruining it.
How my brain
works. Even if I'm assuming it's the one I'm thinking of, it's still a good show, even if you know that.
Right. In fact, exactly. It continues for many years after. Once you know it.
Yeah, it continues many years after that, and also I think rewatching once you know that is really interesting.
Yes. Hulu used to have like these extended episodes. They had like an extra 15 minutes in them. And
I
I don't, are those on the DVD or a
I think
Blu-ray,
they
or
must be. Okay, there's
because
also
that would be sad if those were missing.
I have watched people react to The Good Place on, like, YouTube, and occasionally they have scenes I've
Mm.
never seen before in those
Oh,
reactions, and I was like, "What version do they have?" And they're always English people, so I assume they have some kind of extended version.
I'm thinking that
Um,
might actually be it then.
I might get the DVDs, one, in case my parents ever get rid of Netflix. Um, I listen to The Good Place as I fall asleep because it's one of my favorite TV shows, so we should probably stop talking about The Good Place.
Yeah. For me, it is really good, but it tackles a lot of,
Mhm.
just like Star Wars and Star Wars, Star Trek in
I
some ways, just the questions about life and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So if you're
Uh,
in a not a great place, sometimes it's not the good show to watch
yeah.
because
I
it's
was like,
very
Michael
existential crisis.
Michael Shore also wrote a book about, like, a philosophy book based on the stuff he
I
learned,
read
and
that. Yes.
I have a signed version of it, so that's
Every time I go to the grocery store and put my cart away, I think of that book because they had a whole section on, like, is it,
yeah.
like, morally necessary to put your
Mhm.
cart, or, are you taking work away from a person who is supposed to be doing it for you? Like, no, you're just
I
making their job easier.
um, the version of the book I have, or, like, you could get it from a small bookstore. A lot of authors do this. If you buy from a certain small bookstore, they'll sign it to
Yeah.
encourage you. And, you could get it personalized, and so I had him write, Eleanor Fine Cheaty.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Um,
That will make
anyways,
sense if you watch the show.
yes, they will make sense if you watch the show. Anyways, we should probably talk about food and Star
Yes.
Trek
All
and
right.
not
Yes. Now that we're, yeah, like, well into the show, let me just start to kind of go through the
Mhm,
different shows and what they kind of did with their food. And, this
mhm.
is not a comprehensive overview,
Yeah,
by the way. It's just sort of like Enterprise, which we talked about before we went on.
mhm.
It's not a show that you've seen a lot of. So,
Yes, so I have seen some of Enterprise. It's probably the
yeah.
Trek I've seen the least of, so that's
And your point about, like, it was 2001. Why is it so male gazy? It's just like it was odd. I mean, we pointed it out at the time that it
it
was
was
that way because we always joked, it's like, oh, it's boring, so let's throw some
especially because
decon
I
gel
think
on,
I
and, like,
tried to put
you
it
know
on, like, for the first time, I had just finished Voyager, and then Voyager female lead, and I just went to this, and I was like, "Hey, can I?" And then I think I put something like another Trek on because I was,
yeah.
um,
They had a chef on their ship. They did not have. They had
yeah.
protein resequencer. No, it was it.
I I
What do they
do
call it?
remember,
Yeah,
Tripril being, did I say her name right? No.
to Paul.
To Paul. I was like, "That's not."
To Prill. That's, like, actually a good Vulcan name. I'm gonna
I'm
file that
gonna,
away.
yeah, file that away for something. Uh, a vegetarian, which I not do we know before that the Vulcans are vegetarians?
Yes, I believe that
Okay.
was with Spock. I think we knew that.
I remember them just making a thing about it.
There was a time travel episode where they
Mhm.
went to, like, Detroit in 2006 or something like that, which
Mhm.
it wasn't actually. It was slightly in our future at the time.
Yeah.
And they had to go through a drive-through, and it was like trying to figure out something that she got a taco with nothing in it but lettuce, kind of a thing. So
That is
that was
fantastic.
interesting.
Actually, maybe
Yeah.
I'll go watch Enterprise just to find that. That's really funny.
It was like they drive. It's like hi, welcome to Clownville, or what? It's like
Mhm.
just a goofy fast food restaurant. But yeah, that was pretty funny. Um,
Yeah, there's more places
so
that have veggie burgers now.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, you would think even then they should have had, but
Mhm.
yeah. It's a lot easier to be a Vulcan out of time now than it was in the 50s or
Mhm.
90s. But on Enterprise, they had food stores, and they had a chef that would prepare food. So compared to all the other Star Treks, they were the most, like, real food
Mhm.
focused ship. They did have a hydroponics bay, so they could get fresh vegetables and stuff. And they did have something that could synthesize food from a protein base. So there was, like, simple things I think it could make, and the
Mhm.
crew was like, but could tell the difference immediately between that and real food. There was
I
one episode called. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I was like, I wonder, even though I can't tell as much as I would think, I wonder if it's supposed to be like be equivalent to like impossible meat now.
Yeah, that it feels like it should. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's also like I guess everybody in the Star Trek universe is technically, if they're unless they're eating meat, like they're
Mm-hmm.
vegan. I mean, because it's all replicated. Actually, there
That's
was
true.
somebody, there was like the lab grown meat. There was somebody who's like, well, that's still meat. That's still, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, but it didn't come from an animal. It just was
Yeah,
created. And that was like, there's some people who are still just like, just by just the idea. They're like, no. I'm like, okay, that's weird.
that's odd.
So
Well, if
if
someone is saying
depending on
for
who
like
that
for health reasons, and they're saying it still is
yeah,
bad, like that I could see, but like
yes,
I feel like
because
it
it's still
wasn't an
meat,
animal.
right?
Yeah, so like
So yeah, so in the future, a lot of people are vegetarian, at least.
mm-hmm.
Probably vegan, um, but not because they made that conscious choice. Just that's what
That's how the food
is
be.
made out of.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was an episode called Dead Stop, where they go to a space station that's much more advanced than that time period,
Mm-hmm.
and they have this. They go to into the sort of mess room, and there's little tables that have little circles on them, and Trip is like, maybe it's a little transporter pad. Like for very small things, and it turns out it's a replicator, and it made cold water and catfish and stuff like that. So it was it was able to read the Enterprise's database and create the food, which is interesting. It's like you have the recipe and you have the genetic structure of the fish or whatever. It's like I still don't think those two things are enough to put it together to make it like, okay, that's what this would taste like. He's like, it tastes just like home. I'm like, I don't know if I buy
I
that.
feel like it would be like when the equivalent of like, even though I like both things, like top ramen to like actual ramen,
Oh yeah,
where it's
that's
like, or
yeah.
like spaghettios and spaghetti.
Yuck.
For the record, I like top
Yeah.
ramen a lot more than I like spaghettios.
What was it? Oh, it was during the pandemic. It was like Davey came back with like spaghettios. He goes, I don't even. This is what we got. So it's like, okay. So it was like eating sugar. It was like sugar pasta, and we're just like we rinsed it off and used the pasta with separately with something else. It was not great. As a kid, you like loved it, or I did. And I was like,
I liked it as a kid. I think I had it
So.
once in my adult, maybe as like a teenager, and I was like, this is gross. Like,
well,
and I
also
think the thing
your
is,
taste buds change like every 7 years, like you're kind of the
I'm
overall.
like dealing with one now. I'm starting to like enjoy something with a bit of a kick way more than I used to.
Yeah, it took me a while to get into that.
Like
Anything spicy, it would be like, nope. Now it's just like I can take it. I just not everything. I don't want it so spicy that I just don't taste anything. To me, that's not fun.
That's yes, but it's more like I can put like a little bit of wasabi now in my sushi, and I'm not like miserable.
Yeah. I mean, I have sriracha in my fridge. So
yeah,
it's like,
it started where all of a
before.
sudden I like tried kimchi for the first time in a while, and I like lived in Korea as a kid, and I was like, oh, I love it. Like I really like this. And I was like,
That's
and my mom was like, "You're eating kimchi? What's happening?" Like,
who are you? I don't recognize you.
Oh yeah, well the fact that I put a little too much red pepper on that bruschetta as like a couple like a year or two ago, I would like an edible. Now I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't want to. I want to try the bruschetta now. The other thing that was in Enterprise, that the Vulcans were a lot more advanced with their food replication technology, because you see it in like T'Pol's home or something like that, back on Vulcan. So that's probably how Starfleet improved their technology over the
They're like,
course
hey,
of
we want to make food. Help.
that food thing you got. Can we have one of those? So moving into the original series, it was interesting because they had a much more dim version of what food kind of would look like, because it was kind of matching with the real life astronauts who had like food cubes and paste and stuff like that. So the food didn't look
nothing in the original series looks appetizing.
No. And it continued into TAS. They sort of drew the same sort of stuff. They didn't have cubes. It was like it looked like this, actually. It looked like mashed whatever.
Yeah.
But let's see if I can. If you want to vamp for a second, I will pull up a
Yeah.
photo of the.
I remember, because I more grew up on TNG, remember watching the original series, so I was like, I don't want that. I don't want any of that. Like,
They're made of soy for the show,
I
and the
just looked
ones
at
that
the
they put in
chat.
their glasses are colored marshmallows. That's interesting.
Talking about Brigadoon, you should watch Brigadoon. But you should probably, Brigadoon. I was thinking of
Oh, is
Schmigadoon.
it? Huh?
Someone
Oh,
is
is it
talking. Yeah, I'm actually not
Buffy the
positive what
Musical?
Brigadoon is. The TV show Schmigadoon is
Neither do
really
I.
good.
I don't think I've heard of that either. Let's see. All right.
Brigadoon is an episode of Lex. Oh, I'm not sure I know that show.
Oh, that's the show from the 90s, I think, or early
Interesting.
2000s. If it's the one I think it is, unless it's a different. Lex's could be like a new to something else. Oh, come on. I hate when you get a file and
I
it's in
love
the...
Once More with Feeling, which is the name of the Buffy episode.
Yes.
I'm a big musical theater fan. Schmigadoon is
Somewhere
really
I have
funny.
a photo that was... There was actually a billboard for Once More with Feelings here, which was cool.
That's really fun. I have Once More with Feeling, the soundtrack, on vinyl.
Wow, that's cool. Let's see. All right. Come on. Finish uploading.
Actually, it was the first thing when I finally got my record player set up. It was the first thing I put in it.
Nice. Oops. There we go. So that's what they have, like, just multicolored cubes.
Do you know what it looks like?
It
looks like play food. Like wooden, like,
things
of food.
It's like Play-Doh.
Oh, no. I was saying
almost.
Play-Doh is but like a wooden, like, version of, like, food you would give to a kid to play with, like, play kitchen with.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a good point. It does.
That's what it looks like to me. It doesn't look like food. Like, every time I'm like, we're gonna eat this. I was like, don't. Like.
Oh, there's some. This is interesting. I don't know if I've ever paid that much attention to, like, how the food looked specifically. But this is like the viewpoint from... I don't know if this is like a behind the scenes shot or what, but it's sort of like behind, like, looking down onto the table.
Is that just celery sticks? Like, what is behind?
It looks like celery sticks with red something on it. Yeah, exactly.
Which is funny. Actually, that looks less appetizing. I don't really like celery.
Yeah. Oh, you don't? Okay.
I
use it as a vehicle for peanut butter.
That's fair. There are other vehicles for most things that like. There was like a thing we went to all the time when I was a kid, and there was very little food there. I think I ate too much celery as a kid.
Oh, that could be.
Yeah.
That'll often
I'll sometimes have celery. I don't like I can have it, but it's not my favorite.
I had to have medicine inside of or in apple juice. And so to this day, I still just can't drink apple juice. It was just like, I know I'm not tasting the medicine, but I am tasting the medicine.
I don't like oranges, like, at all, really. Like, I can deal with, like, things that are slightly... Like, I could deal with a tangerine, but it's not my favorite thing. An orange... And I can eat more orange-flavored things than I used to. But the only orange juice I've ever really enjoyed is Sunny D, which is not orange juice. It is so filled with sugar. Like...
It's basically orange soda.
The only time I really have orange juice as an adult, there's champagne in it. And if they have other juices they could put in the mimosa instead, I'm like, oh, yes, please. Like... Actually, once I was at the Alamo Draft House. I was at
cranberry juice would be interesting.
Oh, actually, that's totally a thing, and it's really good. I was at the Alamo Draft House for a brunch screening, I think of Pride and Prejudice, and I got a mimosa, and then I wanted another one. They're like, "Hey, we're out of orange juice. Would you mind if we put in raspberry juice or like raspberry?" And I was like, in my head, or I think it was cranberry. I was like, "Yes, I would prefer that." Actually, if I had known that was an option the first time, I would have ordered it.
Speaking of Jane Austen, I'm going to go see Jane Austen improvise tomorrow at the Gary Marshall Theater.
Tell me all about that.
Yes, it's fun. They have the get as is something that you would like to do outside in the summer or something like that. So there's the last year when they did it, my friend who's also another improviser. It was what is a hobby that
Mhm.
the rich people would do or something like that. And so she's like, hair art. I'm like, what? Apparently there was like this thing where they would take hair and you would stitch it into like a photo frame and make like a almost like,
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about? Kind of
yeah,
like
that actually makes
cross stitch
sense
almost.
because they gave each other locks of their hair.
Yeah. But nobody knew what that meant on stage. So it just turned into this bizarre, like, there's artwork in their hair and stuff like that.
See, I
Like
assumed that,
very
but I was
Victorian
thinking
era.
of the 2020 Emma. There's a character that does insane stuff with their hair, like it's an over the top character.
I think I remember that.
Mhm.
That's funny. So moving on from
Mhm.
TOS, I guess the next thing we do would be TNG because
Yeah,
TAS is pretty much the same. Um, so
animated
in the
food.
next
Like,
generation, yes, exactly. Well, they just drew. I think there's one time when it was the Territon incident when everybody shrunk down. They did a
mhm.
pan across like the mess hall, and there was just like it looked like a Thanksgiving Day turkey. It's like somebody drew food, but it was just like there was no direction, so they drew a traditional dinner at Thanksgiving
That's
thing.
funny.
It was very weird. So I use that image when it's Thanksgiving, like Happy
Mhm.
Thanksgiving from everybody at the animated series. Um, but so with the next generation, they have replicator technology. So we have moved
Mhm.
into what most people know in Star Trek. And like
Tea,
we said
Earl
before,
Grey hot.
Keiko's mom was, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Keiko's was surprised that Miles' mom's cooked. So
Mhm.
that was, in fact, I noticed that a lot of the main characters, whenever they'll like, oh, they cook,
Mhm.
it's like that's the mark of an interesting main character is that they don't
I
replicate their food
I always love the Janeway somehow messed up replicating. Like,
badly at times.
and I'd be like,
Like, how do
"How?"
you do that?
Like,
Yeah.
um, I was remember that scene where Riker's cooks bad eggs and then blames the eggs?
Hmm.
And I've had
That's it on our thumbnail is the picture of
a
like
debate with,
Worf.
like, a different, on this, something I listened to where it's just like, are we supposed to believe him that the eggs are bad?
Well, also, it's not an omelet or whatever. It was scrambled eggs. Like
Yeah.
he did not make what he said he was making, unless that's a different term in some other
Yeah.
universe. So, um, oh, are you talking about Kern's
I
reaction to turkey?
Although
Oh
I
no, that
do
was also funny.
proof that, like, old shows did not pay attention to, like, what the next script was, because it's like, um, I think I wanna say it's the episode after that. The episode Pulaski's in that scene, Riker's mentions his father in that scene, and, like, the next and Pulaski says nothing. The next episode they reveal, she's like, "Oh, yeah, I was, like, in love with your dad." Like
Yeah, that is weird.
they're like, a quick, "Oh, yeah, I know your
Yeah,
dad well, that's all you needed."
yeah, like it's some sort of indication. Well, yeah, they're very. That was still back when things didn't quite connect.
Mhm.
They were each episode was pretty much sealed off from the next. There
Yeah.
was some
Oh,
kind of
Kern's, like,
story,
grossed
but
out that
yeah,
turkey's cooked, right?
yeah, it was like was it burnt replicated bird or something like that.
Mhm.
I think that's what it was. Yeah,
I
that was funny. Klingons definitely do not want replicated or even human food. Basically, anything
I
that's cooked.
I would imagine it'd be hard to replicate something they seem to eat live.
Yeah, I don't know how you would do that because that
Maybe
was even one of the things that they mentioned in the Enterprise episode with that dead stop is that
Mhm.
they can replicate food and things like that totally within, believe it, couldn't even tell when you looked at it on a molecular level, but they couldn't replicate life. So there wasn't
Mhm.
bacteria in there. There wasn't, so
I
that's
wonder
kind of thing.
if,
So you never could make it move.
like, if they could somehow make it, like, just more raw or something for them? I
I don't
don't know.
know. Well, I mean, Impossible Burgers bleed. So
Yeah.
you would think. Or
Um,
maybe if this is gonna get gross, but it's like maybe you could replicate some sort of nerve that's just
that's what I was
like
thinking.
that would just sort
Yeah.
of would move the worms around or
Mhm.
whatever. And
I know it's weird because that's so not human-y to, like, I
yeah,
don't my food should be dead, and I don't want it to look like what it was.
unless it's like vegetables.
Yeah, vegetables are fine. My meat food should be dead,
Yes.
and I don't want to know.
I took a butcher class because it's like, well,
I mean,
my
for I can't.
family had a
Yeah.
farm, and then
Mhm.
it was one of those, oh, if you're not gonna be a vegetarian, then you have to know every part of the process. And I'm like, okay, it was just a friend of mine. It was just so I
Mhm.
went to the class, and it was actually really interesting. And we
Mhm.
also had somebody who was this far away from getting an entire side of beef fell off the hook and almost squished them. It's just like terrifying. The chair that it landed on just went dented and like flat because it's like a cow lands on you. So that was
Don't love
interesting.
that.
No,
Um.
I'm su- I'm sure that the people who underwrote them for insurance for their place was probably not thrilled about that either because it was a class, so I don't think that they
Mhm.
probably had anything insured for that, like a group of people inside of your freezer area or whatever.
Yeah.
But that was
I
interesting.
um. So do we count drinks in this? Because I feel like
Yeah, I mean, there's Synthahol. That's something that pops up
synthahol.
in
I
TNG.
here actually I was trying to think of what is the Star Trek food I eat the most. I drink Earl Grey tea quite a bit actually.
Hmm.
I'm more of a tea drinker and it's caffeinated, so it's one of my go-tos in the morning.
I think probably pizza for me because I mentioned that a couple times. It's been in
Mhm.
thing. I'm trying to think like the
Oh, I guess
most.
something I like actually associate with Star Trek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Where does I mean, I
I
think
don't
they
know.
have pizza, but I don't like I can't like think of a specific
Right.
time when someone was eating pizza.
Riker made it, and then Tom Paris always wanted it. So.
Oh, yeah, Riker does make pizza in Defente.
Hmm.
Um,
It was bunny corn. What was it? With basil or something like that. Bunny corn sausage with basil,
mhm.
tomato and basil.
I
Yeah, with the venom sac removed, so no
mhm.
one dies.
Oh yeah, I remember.
That
Oh
was pretty
God,
funny.
Riker on the
Kester's
Klingon
just like,
ship.
no, I left it there, and so whoever's gonna die. Like that is totally Riker's kid.
Um,
Sorry.
Riker on the Klingon ship eating like the Klingon food is
Oh
always like
yeah.
an interesting, and I'm like, gross. No, thank you.
Well, I do appreciate that they did try to move out of the purely human
Yes.
mind frame inside
Hmm.
of TNG. It's not
Yeah.
always successful, but even in Picard, the season finale, it's like, why is Earth the only place that's the most important thing? It's like, if Earth falls, and like, well, what about Andor and
Yeah.
like Tellar and Vulcan and like a lot of other places?
Look, it's
I
a
mean,
lot
there's always
cheaper. It's a lot cheaper to
339.
put
Yep,
humans on screen than get some aliens.
but it was a planet. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter. We didn't see any of those people. But yeah, say they also mentioned that like food tasted the same every time because it's made essentially from the same mathematical recipe.
See, I would
Y-
say that, like, to a degree, that would be true. But even you as a person, food will taste different to you depending on like
Right.
the thing you previously ate, depending on how tired you are, depending on how sick you are.
What I did in our improvised Star Trek show, my character introduced fractal programs into the food replicator to
Hmm.
give them variety, so it didn't come out the
Ooh,
same
I
all the
like
time.
that.
It also ended up creating puppies, but that's a whole other thing. It was the show. That one, yeah, that was not actually a live show. That was one of our run throughs. It was like we always had really good shows that were not actually on stage. They were like our practice shows. We're like, why couldn't somebody have seen this? This was great.
Yeah. You gotta
But
record
yeah, that was
those.
fun. Yeah, well, people there, that was a whole other issue.
Well,
Andor
those are
was Star Wars, but isn't that where what is Andoria? Is it just Andoria? I thought they. Okay,
I don't
now
know.
so I'll be curious. Like the home of the
I think he's
Andorians.
saying Andoria above that.
Okay, I've heard it said more than one way. I don't know. Let's see. Do 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 do.
I mean, I feel like they never quite agree on Beta
Yeah,
Z, Betazoid. So
yeah, that's true. Inhabited moon. Oh, that's right. They're on a. They come from a moon and not from a
I
planet,
mean,
which is
it's
interesting.
it's funny watching um original
Yeah, it is
series, and they'll
Andoria.
say when
Okay.
they say like Klingonese, and
Oh yeah.
There's something that, oh God, what
I
do they
wonder
say
if that's
about
our
Vulcan?
translation to not knowing them that well or something, as
Yeah.
opposed to
There's
them
something they say
changing
about
it or anything.
Vulcans too. I want to say equivalent to Vulcanese or something like that. I don't think I'm thinking of it quite right.
Oh, yeah. There's also the Vulcanian
Yes, I
um
think I'm thinking
in
Vulcanian, and
something or other.
yeah,
Yeah, which I always thought was funny.
and I'm like, the what? Like,
I'm wondering, I don't know. I wonder if anybody's tried to retcon that in a book or something like that, figure out what
mhm,
Vulcanian means.
yeah.
It was a joint mission between humans and Vulcans or something.
Mhm.
But so yeah, so and we did have Scotty show up, speaking of drinks, and
Mhm.
he was apparently didn't know about synthahol, but then later Discovery kind of messed that up by mentioning synthahol.
Maybe
So,
maybe Scotty just tried to avoid it as much as possible.
but he didn't know what it was. I mean, he just had no idea. It seems like.
Maybe this is one of the things where he refused to believe it was a thing.
That's there you go. Oh yeah, and then in Deep Space Nine, the Maquis didn't. I guess we're moving on to Deep Space Nine.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, your question about the chocolate. I would like to know what that chocolate tastes like. That was a
Mhm.
question I actually had in here, which is
Mhm.
funny. Um, oh, and the person who one of the people asked said what they would like to eat. Evan wanted to try a cellular peptide cake. I was curious what that was.
Mhm.
I don't know if I want to know. That was for anybody who doesn't know. That was the episode of TNG that was inside of Data's dreams. I think was it Data's dreams. It was
Oh,
a dream sequence, or Deanna Troi was carved up like a
the cake,
designed
yeah.
cake. Yeah, because it
I
was getting.
apparently
What
I
was that
remember
episode?
reading somewhere that, like, what they had in mind was not that, and they just had to work with it. When they
Oh
described the
no.
Deanna Troy cake, okay, vamp, and I'll try to look up that episode and see if
Okay.
you were
Okay, that's
saying
good.
about Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine. Yeah, the Maquis. It seems like don't use replicators.
Oh yeah.
Which makes sense, I guess, from energy conservation standpoint. Um, let's see. I just lost my notes. Where did they go? Oh no. Well, I will keep talking while I try and find that. So he was talking with. There we go. He was. It was Eddington talking with Cisco, and he was just like, the what is it? I have the quote. Replicated protein molecules and textured carbohydrates is just doesn't taste like the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because you have some people like, oh, this is indistinguishable from regular food. There was the episode of TNG when the Romulan or the neutral zone where the people from the 90s were unfrozen, and
Mm-hmm.
Sonny Clemens or Sonny whatever his name was couldn't tell the difference between. They made the best martini, like the replicator. So, and that was
Yeah.
synthahol.
I could not
But
tell
I
you.
don't know if that's
I
just.
can't find that cake thing I was thinking of, so
Oh,
maybe I
okay.
made that up.
Maybe. Um,
I know.
it
I just
sounds like a
looked at
production.
memory. I just looked at Memory Alpha, and I was like, I don't have time to like search through
Yeah, exactly.
anything else.
No one wants to watch us searching online.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Deep Space Nine, the Promenade had lots of restaurants, and
Mhm.
the Replimat, which was sort of, I think it's like the 24th century version of the automat that was a 1930s thing in New York. You would just go in, and it was just slots of you choose what food you wanted, and it was on a little spinning wheel, or it was just stuck in like these slots. But it's just this
Mhm.
wall of just squares of plastic that you open up, and there's food inside. And I think the Replimat was kind of like that.
That would
Um,
make sense.
but I thought that was kind of interesting. And apparently, you could get a decent meal for a really cheap price. I think I
That's
would be
good.
afraid of getting something that's sat and we got
Mhm.
bad if it was like dairy or something. But
I mean,
but
hopefully
in the
they're
30s, that was really
refrigerated,
important.
but like
Yeah,
it's the 30s, probably
yeah.
not. But
No, I
also,
think it was
yeah,
refrigerated.
but also it's the 30s, so like gonna get what food you can get.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and I think it closed down in the 60s. I think is when they finally. I can't remember exactly when, but I thought that was kind of an interesting kind of parallel to TNG or to Deep Space Nine. There was also
I have always wanted to know
the
what's so special about Quark's replicators that people will pay him to
yeah. Well, we had
replicate some food.
we even had like Lower Decks had that
Yeah.
part where he actually took the replicator from a different
Mm-hmm.
the people that came through the wormhole and
Mm-hmm.
passed it off as the Quark 2000 or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like apparently
Maybe he
replicator
has,
food is only as good as you want it to be, depending on plot. So it's either
yeah.
really good or it's not as
Maybe
good as
he has
regular food.
like different recipes that like
Well, that would make sense. I mean,
yeah.
you can't just come in and say I would like this, and if it's not in the computer, then they can't make it. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe he just has a wider database
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. So, but yeah, there's food was pretty important also in Deep Space Nine because we had Hasperat and stuff that was very kind of almost related to the religion in some ways. It's not exactly,
Mm-hmm.
but there was all of the Bajoran food had a really tie into their spiritual life. It felt like.
I want to know what Raktajino tastes like.
Yes, that is Klingon coffee.
I don't.
Apparently, it's just like really strong coffee. I don't know, like a
For some reason, I
espresso.
think because of like the coloring of it, often when you would see it, I always imagined it tasting like a chai latte.
Oh, interesting. Maybe.
It was just like more brown than coffee usually is.
Yeah.
At least in the shots I'm remembering.
Trek on the Tube, just popping in to say hi and hit the like button. Oh, that's a good point. Yes, that's the one thing that I'm not great at is like also throwing out stuff that you should be doing, like like and subscribe, like as you're doing this. I'm just but as a reminder, if you are popping in,
I'm used to either being here with Fatheree or being on my normal podcast, which is pre-recorded. So like,
yeah. And when I do my podcast, it's also pre-recorded, so we have a bumper that's just sort of built into it. So.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Fatheree will be back next week, and I believe they're doing. Oh, what was it? There's supposed to be a special show.
I think they're talking. I don't know. Is this something that's been announced, or did we just know this?
Oh, because I guess they don't have the topic pinned down yet. For some reason, I thought that they did.
I think they have an idea, but I don't know that there's a topic that's been chosen. So I'm going to avoid saying what it is
for a show that's much more structured.
Yeah, much more structured.
Fatheree does like a really nice outline, and everything.
Fatheree does. When Fatheree's here, I don't just start talking about the Good Place for 15 minutes. So.
Right. Well, I know those. I don't mind those kind of because we are following a format roughly. So we're Deep Space Nine.
At least I know how I got to the Good Place, which is like we were mentioning the little bit worse of food.
Yes. Oh, food was very important in that show too. That was just that said a lot. Just depending on.
I also wonder. Maybe this is a new theory. Maybe it takes like the powering like a replicator on a space station. There's a lot more power than on a ship, so maybe they can like store a lot more.
Because that makes sense.
I cannot remember which series. But I remember an episode where they're on either a shuttlecraft or a what is the thing on Deep Space Nine called?
Runabout?
Yeah. And I want to say maybe it was Deep Space Nine. I want to say it was Garrick just being like saying there was a lot more limited food on there.
Oh right, yeah, that feels like a Deep Space Nine thing.
Yeah, it feels in my head like it's Garrick. That's saying that he's complaining about the food choices because they're like Starfleet food choices on a Runabout.
Trek on the Tube says, I assume that you've talked about the poop apple. No, we have not. We're actually not going to discover it because we're stopping where the book stopped. We're looking at this Neelix
okay, I'll talk about it real quick. That line made me laugh really hard because I was like, he's not wrong. I think that is pretty much what...
I'm just showing this is the book that we're referencing.
I do kind of love that scene. He's like, it's pretty good for shit. Like...
Well, it makes all the you would think that whatever
Mhm.
it would just turn into basic uh, molecules or
Mhm.
just some sort of mass
But
or
it does
whatever.
make sense that they're like there's a cycle for that.
Yeah,
Would be like you eat something, something comes out, you make the food out of that something, and then the cycle continues.
it sounds gross, but it's like if it's taken down to its molecular level, who cares?
Mhm.
I mean, we're probably eating a lot more stuff that we don't know that we're eating
Yeah.
anyway. That's in food, and
I there the water that we have now is the same water that was around with the dinosaurs. This is technically dinosaur piss. Like,
that explains Lacroix. No.
fuck, sorry.
Lacroix is like it's. You look at
I
the
don't I
can,
don't
and it's
like
like
I don't like I want soda or I want water. I don't want something in
yes,
between.
it does. It feels less than in between. Even it's like it
Yeah.
has lemon. It's like it whispers the word lemon, and you're
See,
just
I
supposed to
don't like
think
I
that there's
also
lemon in
I
there because like
don't like I don't really love like just lemon and water either. I would rather just drink a plain water or I want like a soda or a juice or like a lemonade, something that is a completely different. It's added so much that it's a completely different thing.
Kira's mention of Legs brought Mr. Legs to lower decks. Oh, and the big feast. Oh, that's right. Call it Discovery and the Butcher's night. Yeah, that's right. It was Starbase 22, I think.
I've now realized it's a good thing we're not talking about food and Discovery because we might have to talk about the mirror universe of Discovery.
Yeah, I'd have. Oh, that's yeah. There's some. Your
Ugh.
guest star is what you're eating.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, we could do a part two of food, like going
Yeah.
past, uh, Voyager, basically. Well, Enterprise. We just did it chronologically, so
Mhm.
Enterprise, and it wasn't in this book at this point, but it's close enough. Um, but yeah, so we had the also Cisco's dad's restaurant, Cisco's,
Yeah.
which also
I
that was a really important. It was such a
That's
good
the place like I want to
encapsulation
go
of the
to,
character.
but I
Yeah,
also in my head I'm like, just go to a Cajun restaurant, you weirdo. Like,
but that would so like if you do that at a cruise or at a convention or
mhm.
something like that, they could do Creole food that's been rebranded to
There's a
Cisco,
ton
which
of
would actually be
Creole
really cool.
food that I do want to try in that book. It's most Creole food, Creole Cajun. Is it supposed to be? Because there's technically a difference. Is it supposed to be Creole food or
Yes,
Cajun food?
I thought it was Creole, but I might
Okay.
be wrong. Oh,
And I
checking the
think
tube is way off.
there are like obviously like overlaps between that. I Most of that food involves like you need spices to like marinate for a while, which I just did not have time
Yeah,
for.
yeah. There's a really good, I think it's Cajun restaurant in the farmers market here in Los Angeles, and that's
Um,
where I've had like alligator sandwiches and stuff like that. Which it sounds
you can
weird, but
get
it's also very chewy.
for various reasons, but you can get pretty good Cajun and Creole food in Houston. One, it is swampy, it has a similar structure. Also, and a more sad thing is a lot of people got displaced from New Orleans, ended
Uh,
up in Houston after Katrina because they took them to the
yeah,
Astrodome. And so a lot of
right.
people stayed. So,
Huh. Well, you
well, if
got
they didn't,
an
not
influx of
everyone,
good
not
food. Then,
everyone had a home to go back to. So,
yeah, many people did not.
yeah, so they
Yeah,
stayed.
I'm curious like how that region is. That'd be interested to do like some sort of special about like X amount of years later. What's happening? Because I'm sure there are probably places
Mhm.
that still aren't rebuilt.
Oh, there must be. I
So
but they like you can get like uh um crawfish broils there. I personally prefer a shrimp broil because crawfish are really hard to get the meat out of.
yeah, the bar that we go to a lot did that was actually the last thing I did um the before the pandemic and the lockdown is we did a whatever that what is that after Fat Tuesday, what is it, the
Oh,
shoot, it's the other, maybe it is Fat Tuesday, I don't know, but basically we did a Cajun, like there
mhm.
was a crawfish cook off
Yeah.
sort of thing, And yeah, it's difficult to get out, and it was just sort of like, I don't know, it wasn't super tasty. I like
The
shrimp better.
last time I did it, I broke my nail really badly trying to get it out.
Oh no.
Yeah. And
Ow.
the last time, actually for the Super Bowl, like I was at a friend's house and they did a shrimp broil. I was like, this is much easier to do.
Yeah,
And it was
definitely.
all the food either Cisco makes looks
Mardi
fantastic, and
Gras,
I would
that's what I'm
like.
trying to think of.
Oh, that's Tuesday and Mardi Gras are
Makes more
kind of the
sense.
same thing. That's why I couldn't like.
Yeah. But I mean, they're in the same yeah, they're
But actually,
connected, but
the last
it's
thing
more of
I
a
did, similarly, the last thing I did for the pandemic is I went to Mardi Gras in 2020.
people didn't know at that
I
point, did
didn't
they?
know. No, it's that I came back and it became very clear that that was a bad idea.
But you're alive, so that's good.
I'm a little.
Yeah,
I
I the
knock
same
on
thing,
wood
just
have
like
not had COVID, and I
neither have I. I'm hoping that stays that way.
yeah, I would say
It's hard just to not do things too. Like,
you
I wonder how much I'm actually playing it overly safe or something. I don't know.
I think you for good reason of you have health issues that I don't have.
Yeah.
Um, I like currently am going into an office at least once a week, and like at that point, it was kind of like I'm going into an office once, like um.
Jill ordered crawfish at the bar in New Orleans, and they brought me such an enormous pile that I'll probably never eat it
Oh my
again.
god,
I
the
was there for
most I've
hours
ever
trying to
eaten.
finish them all. Oh my gosh,
I don't think we had
that's a lot.
crawfish on this. Ah, God, I couldn't even tell you everything I ate.
Oh no,
I
Sohail got COVID this week.
oh, I'm so sorry. That sounds awful.
You're
I will say what
there's
I
a lot going on with
don't
you.
understand, and I took a test. My brother got COVID. I was in a car with him, and the next day he was like, "I tested positive. Didn't get it."
Oh, well, that's good.
I
Yeah, that actually did happen to me once too.
do not understand that. But when I was in
Everybody
New
at this
Orleans, we did
dinner had it, and I
we did
didn't.
2 tours because I was visiting one of my high school friends, and she was a high school teacher, so she had the entire week off. So we did one that was like a ghost tour, which were
Ooh,
I think if I believed
those are
in
fun.
ghosts a little more, I would have. I found the history of it more interesting than the like
Yeah,
ghost part. Um,
I'm assuming you didn't see a ghost either. That's probably
no,
would make it
I
more interesting.
there was one place which was like it was supposed to be haunted because it like a terrible person was a doctor there and would like uh kill like low income like pregnant women to like study them. Yeah.
Yikes, that's
Or like
horrible.
help or like the babies to like if someone wanted it. Yeah, it was terrible. As they're
Okay.
telling they're telling those stories. And then they're like, yeah, they don't like us saying it's haunted because they also use this place as a wedding venue now. And I remember whispering to my friend, I was like, even if it's not haunted, who wants to get married here? Like,
Yeah, that's weird.
I
Ugh.
that's yeah. But the other tour we did was a food tour, and that was great. And I was so full by the end of it. We got gumbo, we got like little cookies, we got hot sauce. There was like
Nice.
things to take the whole time. That was fantastic. But by the end, I was like, I cannot eat anything else.
What was really cool in the Cisco's is also that he would
Mhm.
make food for Nog. It was like he would actually it was the
I
only place that Nog could get like tube grubs or something like that.
That was I thought was really sweet that he was like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
he was like, it wasn't him because he wasn't like only my food is good food.
you're
He was
right.
like, "Oh, this is my
Yeah, I think he
specialty,
was.
but I'll help this guy get what he wants." Like,
It seems like he would be a really like that great neighbor or something. Like you just like would love the person because they're just like you're always just so helpful. And
mhm.
I don't know. I thought Cisco's would be a good place to just that would be like the place I hang out at. They did that in Lower
I
Decks too, where they were eating at Cisco's and it's just
that well, they had Ketracel white hot sauce.
yes, I actually. Speaking of,
Wait, what? Oh, you can still hear me, right?
yeah,
Okay. There's also the apparently how when
this was from the press kit that they gave us from Lower Decks.
ah
This is when
Okay.
they gave us food and stuff. It was like that was the best press kit. It's like, yum. I have not opened it.
I
I probably should use it at some point.
got at some point someone thought I was a much bigger Star Trek name than I was, and they're like, they asked me about one of the press kits. I was like, I have no idea. No, they've never sent me anything.
Yes, you want them.
What?
I can't. It's like I'm trying to figure out the date that it's good till, but it's like really impossible to see without a light. It's like super faint in a slightly different color. That's funny. Locally sourced at the Gamma Quadrant. It has catch yourself white is hot. Flavor is life. Death to lesser condiments. Pledge loyal to the only sauce worthy of the founders themselves. Feel the heat as it courses through your veins, conquering your taste buds with the addictive flavor of the Gamma Quadrant. From the heart of the Dominion to your plate. Enjoy the only hot sauce with the Quark Industry seal of approval. Bottled for Quark.
In
That's
universe,
really funny.
in the universe, does that
No
actually...
refunds, no exchanges.
There's some stuff for the press kit. I'm like, why don't you make that to sell?
Yes.
I'd buy that. That's hilarious.
Know.
Like
some of those things, like if you could do an on demand, I think that would probably be, because I'm sure they don't want to pump out like 500 bottles of hot sauce and sell 3 or whatever.
This is not a Star Trek thing, but the worst thing I've ever seen of a press kit that I was like, why don't you make that? Is the Emma 2020. A friend of mine had a press kit for that. It was they did like a copy of the script of the screenplay. They've never sold that screenplay. And I was like, that's a pretty good screenplay. I'd buy that. Like, I was like, people buy screenplays all the time. Like, that's such a weird thing to have made for a press kit and just be like, no, we're not selling
it. Scripts can be expensive too, depending on what they are. You can actually make money off of it.
Yeah.
So I think that takes us to Voyager. Which is where we started with the Voyager cookbook, or not Voyager cookbook, but the cookbook with Neelix on it.
Cookbook with Neelix, apparently made by Ethan Phillips and just
some other guy.
A bunch of different Star Trek actors being like, I don't know, this is what I like to eat.
You got a picture of that? No, I don't have a picture of that. It's not Instagram time yet. Yeah, I feel like maybe now if they made it, they'd probably just do it digitally or something like that. But there would be pictures. So the basically Voyager, they rationed their replicator, or they had the replicator rations early on because apparently, like you were saying before, power somehow is related to the replication technology, which is also infused into holodecks too, which is interesting because I'm wondering if they could have put the holodeck grid that was on a different system into replicating.
I wonder if you could get around your replicator ration by just ordering stuff on the holodeck.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good. Like you eat it in the holodeck as long as you eat it there, because it's supposed to be the food that it creates in the holodeck is supposed to be real. Well, you can eat it and it stays with you when you leave the
because
that'd be cool if it disappeared when you left and you're like, wow, I didn't gain any weight at all.
Yeah. You're not the first person to make that joke. To like just eat a bunch of chocolate and leave.
Yeah. Of course, then you also don't get any of the benefit of like the
nutrition,
nutrition of it.
Yeah. There's the problem. Chocolate, there's a reason. The problem is we do need to eat for like and keep it in our body for a reason. And then you had Neelix.
Yes. Well, so they brought Neelix on as well. I think he voted himself as the cook on the ship.
Cook
he took
and
over.
Ambassador.
Yes. Well, Ambassador came later, I think.
Did it?
It was just.
I don't know. He was there.
He was made officially the ambassador later. Yeah, they.
I think they officially made him later. I think he always was like, "I'm an ambassador." And you're like, "Sure you are, buddy."
Yeah, they just showed up in Janeway's ready room, like, "Hi, we're here. We're part of the crew now."
Yeah,
and she's like, "Oh, okay."
She's like, "Okay." Where are we going? Like, do you want to come home with us? Like,
yeah. Well, Kes didn't really have any place to go after the first episode. But yeah, so Neelix went in. He didn't know, but he took over Janeway's private dining hall, which apparently that their mess hall was actually her private dining room.
In my head, have a theory that they knocked down a wall for like a conference room to like her dining hall.
Okay.
Because that's my theory. Just because it's massive, I don't understand.
But Yes, and there actually is a mess hall, which we've seen like early on. It's in a different part. It looks
Yeah.
completely different. It has like the replicators along the wall and
I'm
stuff like
guessing
that.
they
So
needed that room because it was the only room with a kitchen.
yeah, that would make sense because the dining
Or
hall wouldn't have one.
the only thing I could think of is, or it's actually Janeway's
Or the
private
mess.
dining hall is supposed to be for like for dignitaries, and so it's big for that.
Yeah, that would make
Like
sense. Like special
for
occasions and
for instance, in like on base housing, general's housing is like the living sizes is not like my father was a colonel. That's the highest he got. And general's housing, the like bedrooms and stuff were about the same size. And then they would just have these massive living rooms and kitchens because like anytime a dignitary came to the base, they would go there.
got it.
And
That
they were
makes
the only
sense.
place like because someone was like, wait, do they have like someone was like, wait, they have a private chef? And I was like, no, they have a private chef that comes like if the president visits. Like, they don't just, like, have a
Right.
private chef for themselves.
Yep. That would.
Oh,
Yeah, that makes sense.
mhm. But
So
then,
let's see. We
obviously,
also
they almost never had dignitaries because they were out in the middle of nowhere.
right. Yeah. Well, they
I
did have. It seems like they had more than you would expect
Yeah.
when people come onto the ship. But
Uh,
yeah.
oh, I also remember
And
that I think
so
it's the first episode, Tom is just really disappointed by tomato soup.
yes,
Like
that was the room. That was the regular mess hall that he
Mhm.
was in. Yeah, I'm thinking that. Sorry, I'm just eating the last of my food.
Oh,
Um,
I have so much food
the
left,
yeah,
and I have the
that's what
recipes.
why I didn't want to build the other one. Yeah, I was like, ugh.
Once
Um,
I'm not on a camera or, like, I think that the bruschetta will be a little easier to eat.
yeah, it's not a quiet food
Yeah.
or not. It's messy no matter what you
Yeah.
do. It seems like.
Mm,
Um,
some of these.
but they created a hydroponics garden, and
Mhm.
Neelix basically sourced all these fresh foods wherever they would go somewhere. And the thing that became the running joke throughout the show was everything was Leola root, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think we figured out through other recipes and stuff that Leola root on Earth, the equivalent is ginger. So I could
Mhm.
see getting tired of having ginger for everything. That would just be
Mhm.
like, I've seen that too. I was like, can you just stop adding ginger to this? Like, so I mean, my roommate did that a lot. I was just like, okay, this is not necessary for this dish.
It's probably how
So I'm
me
guessing
with
that's what that
garlic.
is. I like garlic.
Mm.
And this was also, like we said before, Seven of Nine's first eating experience, which
Mhm.
is interesting to see how far she's come if you watch Picard season 3.
Mhm.
You know, also it's like Borgs do not sit. Like now she's like in the chair. It's like so. But yeah, so that brings us up to Voyager, and there's pizza was mentioned. There doesn't seem to be, except for maybe like the Leola root. I don't think there's a specific food that you associate with Voyager.
I mean,
The Jabalian fudge cake, maybe. I don't know.
there's not there's definitely a drink, coffee, but
Yes, for sure.
there's
Coffee ice
coffee.
cream. That would be
Oh,
fun.
there's coffee in that nebula.
Yes.
The first time I did like my Janeway cosplay, the first audio I did was there's coffee in that nebula. Like, oh, bye, Joel.
Yes. See you, Joel. So I think we probably should just wrap it up at this point. I think
Yeah,
we've gone through the gamut
explore
of the
the
early
the
start of the
gamma
year.
it.
The gamma,
Yeah,
the gamma quadrant. If it, like,
yeah.
I'm now curious what the Ketracel white how hot that hot sauce is now. So yeah, join us next week on the 19th, where Fatheree will be back. We don't, like I said, I'm not sure what we're doing right now, but he will midweek, I'm sure, have something out. And if you are a patron, you can join us on the 20th for Future's End, parts 1 and 2. And I believe it's at 3 p.m. Pacific. I want to say that, but don't hold me to that. If you're a patron, check their patron
I'm not sure.
page.
I will be in Florida.
That's right. You will not be there.
Yeah.
It won't matter. But yeah, so, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and for sure, come back and join us next time. All right. See y'all. It doesn't work. Bye.
Hi.